Alright guys, welcome back into another PGA DFS video. We're going live. We're going to be talking FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo pricing. There are two players. There's one on FanDuel that's a little bit too mispriced, and then there's one on Yahoo that's a little bit too mispriced. We're going to go over the DraftKings kind of as a whole, just kind of give you guys that feel. Feel free to ask any questions as they come along. Let's start out here with the top end. So as you guys know, I typically like to use this going live as a supplement to the core plays video that I make earlier on in the week. And I actually really like this week some of the key stats that we're looking at, some of the other people in the industry aren't looking at, like bogey avoidance and bounce back percentage, which I really like, especially on the fifth toughest course. So that's one of the things I think we can really gain an edge with this week. And there's actually some really good value options that I've noticed a lot of people aren't actually on. So I think we can really gain an edge there. It's kind of easier to do this does and does approach, but also the fair and balance approach is going to work as well. In the 7K range, there's not as many good options as there typically is, but there are two that we really like. One of those is Matt Jones that we have pulled up here. He's made 8 straight cuts. He is in decent, he's in that really good current form. He is a good stat fit as well. His course history isn't the best, but I do like that he does have that course history. So Matt Jones, as you guys know, he is going to be a core option for me this week, especially at 7.2K. That definitely seems a little bit too cheap. I think he should have been priced up 500 more. And one of the things about Matt Jones, you guys will notice, is that Matt Jones is mispriced across the industry, FanDuel and Yahoo. So I hope he can bring his A game this week and do really well. He doesn't really make bogeys. He has that bogey avoidance that we're looking for, so I do like that. So you can definitely go with him. I do think paying up is going to be an okay option this week. Obviously, Rory McIlroy, the dude's checking all the boxes. Out of anyone in the player pool, probably this whole year, he's the number one play probably this whole year compared to the rest of the field. He's top 25 in every set that we're looking at except for putting, where he's ranked 76, which really isn't bad at all. And he's made a ton of cuts in a row. He's just easily the best play on the board. So for Casey, I haven't seen any news. I've been making this video this whole day, but with Casey, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna just fade him anyways. He is a good stat fit for this course, but the thing with Casey is I don't see the point of paying up for Casey when you can just pay for Charles Howell. They're virtually the same stat fit, and they're virtually in the same current form. And although Paul Casey has a little bit better course history, it's kind of the same. So I just don't get why you pay up for Paul Casey when you can pay down for someone like Charles Howell. Let's say if you don't like Charles Howell, Lucas Glover's virtually the same thing. Now Lucas doesn't hit it as far as Casey. I mean, that's the only difference there. So I think I'm just going to pay down for Charles Howell. If Paul Casey's questionable, maybe that explains why he was so horrible at the Masters. Maybe he has an injury. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not going to be playing Casey too much. I think at that price range, I would just rather go with someone like Finau, who's priced down a little bit lower. He has really good course history here, and he's checking all the boxes. Now, his bounce back percentage isn't that good. But other than that, he's a really good stat fit, and he does have that good course history. So I do like Tony Finau. Another option that I want to touch on is going to be Phil Mickelson. So Phil Mickelson, he has a ton of good course history here. But I don't know. His just current form kind of worries me. I do think he's going to make the cut. And we know with Phil, if he makes the cut, he's going to do well. He is a really good driver, obviously. But I feel like I'm going to fade him. Especially, Phil, Paul Casey, and even Justin Rose. I think I'm going to fade. The thing with Justin Rose is Justin Rose, I don't see why you'd pay up for him when you can pay for Paul Casey. But then again, why pay for Paul Casey if we can pay for Charles Howell? They're kind of all virtually the same stat fit, all in the same current form fit, and they kind of all had the same course history. So that's kind of going to be the way I'm going to roll with that. On the top end, I do think you can play Rory, Jason Day, Ricky, Hideki I like a lot, but Webb Simpson's a good option. Obviously, he's the local guy at this course. He has that good course history. He did make the cut here in 2017 when it was the PGA Championship event. He's a really good stat fit. He's 7th in the field in strokes gained off the tee. And he is 128th in bogey avoidance, but it's his bounce back percentage. It's 34. So obviously if he does get in trouble, he can come back and bounce back from that. The one thing I do want to touch on is why we're doing that. The cut here is typically +3 or so. And so obviously the better your bogey avoidance is, the more likely you are to make the cut. But we do want to look at for people that are going to be able to bounce back if they do have that bogey. And Webb Simpson is just one of those guys who typically is just a cut maker. So obviously I really like him as an option this week. And I mean, being a local here, he should be able to make the cut. I do have Webb Simpson in my cash lineup right now, so just kind of FYI there. Going down the list a little bit lower, do want to touch on Gary Woodland. So Gary Woodland, he's pretty much been a good stat fit the whole year. I do think he's going to be a good option this week. He has made 3 out of 4 cuts here at this course, if we're including that 2017 PGA Championship. So Gary Woodland's going to be a good option. I mean, he did miss the cut here most recently, but obviously this is the best Gary Woodland has played in his whole career. So I do think as price point, that's really not too bad. You could definitely roll with Gary Woodland if you wanted to. Going down the list a little bit more, Jason Kokrak is pretty much the same thing as Gary Woodland, except for he doesn't have the course history. He's checking all the boxes, current form-wise, stat-wise. So you could definitely roll with Jason Kokrak. The nice thing about Jason Kokrak is because he doesn't have that good course history, he can, he's a little bit cheaper this week. So we do gain that edge with him. The one thing about Kokrak as well is in 2018, 2016, and 2015, he missed the cut. But in 2017, he made the cut. So I don't know, it's kind of weird. He made it when it was a major. So obviously the major, tougher field. The course is played a little bit tougher. They kind of set up a little bit more tough. So I don't know, it's just kind of interesting thing. Both Gary Woodland and Jason Kokrak are playing some of the best golf of their careers. So we can definitely roll with those guys. The next players I want to touch on, I already touched on Lucas Glover and Charles Howell. I do expect those two to bounce back. They both caught the bad end of the weather at their last event at the RBC Heritage, so I do expect those two to be able to bounce back. And they do have, they're both top 50 in bogey avoidance. They're both really good off the tee. They're both great ball strikers and total drivers. They've both been rated as top 20 putters this year, so I like them both as options. They both really have some really good current or course history. They've only missed a cut here once each, so they're not horrible options. I don't think I'm going to go with someone like Sungjae Im or Benny Yan. I know those two are getting talked up. The next player I want to touch on is actually going to be Jonathan Vegas. So Jonathan Vegas, if you guys watched the other video, you guys know he's going to be one of my core plays this week. And it's just his good current form that he's in. He's made 5 straight cuts, and he's 11th in strokes gained off the tee, but he's also 9th in bogey avoidance. So that's highly correlated to him having a good week, along with that good course history that he has. So I actually really like Jonathan Vegas this week. And my problem here with this is that across the industry, he's just mispriced. So it's kind of like we're forced into playing Jonathan Vegas. And honestly, he's not a guy that I typically want to play. But at this price point, we kind of have to play him just because he's too cheap across the industry. So we're going to be rolling with Vegas. And then after that, Aaron Wise on DraftKings, I do think he's priced at a point where you don't have to play him. But on somewhere like FanDuel, which I'll touch on later, I'd like him as an option. Going down the list, Keegan Bradley, I think we're just going to roll with him again. He's made 12 out of 13 cuts. Yes, he did have a missed cut recently, but just kind of a bad event that he had. He's typically a cut maker. He's really checking all the boxes, stat fit-wise, and he did have a T76 here last year, and he did perform well at the major when it was here as well. So I don't mind Keegan Bradley as an option. If you want to roll with him, you can. He's virtually the same play as, let me find it. Where is it? He's basically the same play as someone like Hideki, but you're paying down for a discount because Keegan doesn't have the same name value that Hideki does. Hideki normally finishes a little bit better. Keegan cannot close out an event. He always sucks on Sunday, so that's kind of why he's lower. After that, Roy Sabatini, we'll touch on him later on when we get into FanDuel and Yahoo. I do think Nick Watney is actually going to be an interesting one lineup GPP play. If we want to play him in one of those, we definitely can. Joel Dahman, you guys know how I feel about him. He's going to be a great option for us this week. T16 in his one appearance here. He's one of the best that fits in this field. He's pretty much the same as Keegan Bradley, except for getting a price discount with him. So that's why I really like him as an option. Same could be said for someone like Matt Jones, who Matt Jones has just made a ton of cuts. I already touched on him. He's going to be a great option. Some other decent options. Trey Molinax, if you want to roll with him, you can. Michael Thompson, not going to be a horrible option. I don't mind Adam Hadwin. Adam Hadwin has actually kind of burned me a little bit this year, so that could be why I'm not going to play him as much this year, or for this event, I mean. But he is a really good stat fit. The only thing we worry about with him is he's 151st in strokes gained off the tee. If we took out that stat, he would actually be one of the better stat fits in this field. But obviously, that's one of the more relevant stats this week, so I don't think we can really ignore that stat with him this week. He did have the T16 here last year, though, so he's going to be an interesting GPP option. I do want to touch on the value options this week because Carlos Ortiz, he's going to be like 1% owned. And the thing with Carlos Ortiz is when it's a good course fit for him, he tends to do well. And what I mean by that is he is a really good stat fit here. And all the times that I wanted to play Carlos Ortiz, he's made the cut. He's actually had a pretty good week. And the 2 times he's played this event, he has made the cut, with his best finish being 19. And that was in 2015, so it's not as relevant, but still. We do like to see that good course history, that he has made both the cuts. He is a top 25 stat fit according to my model. I also do like someone like Johnson Wagner, who has made the cut each of the last 2 times he's played it. And Johnson Wagner's actually had a pretty good year this year, so I just think he's a little bit too mispriced. You go a little bit lower. Harris English, he's mispriced. I know people have been hyping up Sam Burns. I get that as well. He's not a bad option as well. We could go a little bit lower. Adam Schenk, he had the bad draw at his last event as well with the weather, but Adam Schenk, he did have a missed cut here in 2018 as well. But obviously Schenk is playing some of the best golf of his career. He's a top 20 stat fit. He's pretty much been a cut maker this whole year. At this price point, I can definitely take that and run with it. Julian, again, you guys know how I like him. He's been playing well this year. We could roll with him. You go down a little bit lower, you got Dominic Bazzelli, who I'm probably not going to play this week, but I'd be fine with, trying to play him in one lineup. Won't hurt you at all. Then Nate Lashley. Nate Lashley has struggled in his last 3 events, but he is a good stat fit. So if you want to play him, I could see why you'd want to do that. All right, if we don't have any questions for the DraftKings, let's get into the FanDuel. All right, so with the FanDuel plays, like I said, I think Jonathan Vegas is just priced a little bit too cheap across the industry. But also, I do think Matt Jones is priced too cheap across the industry. Also, Roy Sabatini, priced at $8.8K on FanDuel. I really do like that as an option. But the guy I want to touch on the most here is going to be Aaron Wise. So he's definitely way too cheap on FanDuel. And like I said with Vegas, how they're kind of forcing us to play him across the industry, I feel like FanDuel's pretty much just forcing us to play Aaron Wise here at this course. He finished T2 here at this course last year. His game is finally coming around, making 3 out of his last 4 cuts. So I don't know. That's just something we can't really ignore at this price point on FanDuel. He should be $1,000 more. Then we could kind of fade him. But at this price point, I think we have to roll with Aaron Wise here on FanDuel. Now let's get into the Yahoo plays. All right, so the plays on Yahoo, they're kind of the same because these guys are kind of just too cheap across the industry. But Cameron right there at $20 on Yahoo. There's always one guy on Yahoo that's just priced too cheap at 20 at the minimum price, and that's Cameron this week. He's checking the boxes stat-wise. He is in decent current form. And let me pull up his course history here. 1 second. So in his last 2 times at this course, he finished T27 and T41. So obviously he has that good course history. He's 73rd in strokes gained off the tee, which isn't great, but it's not horrible. He's 38th in that bounce back percentage that we're looking at. He has made 3 straight cuts. So obviously I really don't mind him as an option, but at that minimum price on Yahoo, I think we can go with that. Also, I do think Matt Jones, he's almost minimum price on Yahoo. I really like that. I don't like to use the lock button or lock word a lot in DFS, but I really like Matt Jones on Yahoo. I might be locking him in on Yahoo. All right, lastly, that's all I got for you guys. If you guys want to join the Patreon page, we've cashed 12 out of 16 full tournament field events, so we've been doing really well this year. And I do like this event. The only problem with this one, I think it's going to be a week where 4 out of 6 can actually do pretty well. You can actually cash with that in your cash lineup and GPP lineup. So that's kind of what I'm rolling with there. But if you guys don't have any questions, I'm going to get out of here. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give me a like and subscribe if you did. And then, as always, let's keep cashing.